27 years old, and I started doing this 14 years ago when I was a teenager. I just really got uh, a hold of this movie because I was obsessed with the detail. You could pause every single frame and you would see something you didn't see before. And I was just so fascinated that this hundreds of people got together and created such a magical movie because it seems like nowadays movies are just they're just not like that. Everything's CGI versus this. Everything was practical effects. There was a entire soundstage of Whoville. I mean, they just built a Whoville. I mean, it was very interactive. There were so many things that were built that you never even saw on the screen, and that gravitated me. And I just kind of kept going from there. Like this is a little radio that was used in Betty Lou and Cindy Lou's living room, and it's just the swirls and the details to everything. This is a little clock. It just there wasn't a detail that got missed in the movie, but I just kind of grew obsessed with it and I couldn't get enough of it. You could open up any cabinet in that set and there would be a prop in it. They were ready for anything. I'm located in Oklahoma City and I'm always surfing the internet for something. I'm trying to find Grinch. I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace. I'm checking Instagram. I'm checking Craigslist, you name it. I'm looking on every social media because you never know. Somebody might post something for sale or just trying to show off something. But there was a day that I was scrolling last year on Instagram and I came across this big coffee table and they weren't really sure what it was. They thought it was maybe from the film, but I knew exactly what it was and I knew that I had to have it. So I reached out to them and we closed the deal and I drove to Holt Summit and picked it up. And I came back home and I used Google AI image search and I put that table into Google and it brought up a table, a chair in a similar style. And I clicked that and it took me to an estate sale that happened last March in Jefferson City. And then I kept scrolling. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much Grinch that's just completely scattered around Missouri. And the unfortunate part is some of those pieces sold as just generic furniture. They did not know that it was part of Grinch. They just thought, oh, it's a nightstand or, oh, it's a, it's a table from here and there. So it makes me sad that that history for those pieces may be lost, but maybe there's a hope that I could find those pieces. There could be an upwards of 20 pieces still floating out there. It's really hard to say since it's been a year. I've seen some of those items resurface on eBay and flipped for profit. And so it has been challenging for sure, but I think there's still at least a good handful of furniture that I think still out there. There's, I think, some nightstands still floating around, some candle holders that go onto the wall. I mean, just some smaller handheld props that I think are still kind of, I believe, in Columbia, Jefferson City, possibly. I've been making Facebook posts for the last year and running and purchasing ads on Facebook, hoping that I can try to find those pieces. And it has been complete silent for like the last year up until yesterday. Yesterday, there was a teacher in Eugene that had saw it and sent it to the librarian of that school. And she's like, I have the chair. That chair matches your table that you've got. And so we worked the deal out last night, and I'll be headed out to Eugene on Friday this week to go pick it up. And after I finished my conversation with her, a second guy came into my messages and was, I have this green table that was also from the movie. So it's just like all of a sudden everything is just coming out of the woodwork after a year of searching when I almost gave up.
My name's Curtis Atkinson. I met Austin online. He put an ad, I guess, on Facebook trying to look for the pieces that he was looking for. So he said he was coming from Oklahoma City to come up here and meet another woman in Eugene, Missouri. And she had the chair and I had the table. Atterbury had the auction and they had probably a dozen pieces. And all the pieces, I mean, many of them went for a lot of money. And I just bid on something and won it.
I'm definitely going to keep searching. I'm going to definitely keep looking, and I'm just going to use the power of social media and hope that the others come up. I feel like I've got enough people at the moment in Missouri that I've connected with that have given me some leads that I'm hoping people are looking out for me and will reach out if they find any others.
Figured it was sitting downstairs next to my chair, just down in the basement. So I just watch TV and I collect a lot of stuff too. That's the reason I kind of had it, because I collect a lot of things. And I was like, well, this is kind of his thing. So I wanted him to have it.
As challenging as it has been fun. It's been like a scavenger hunt trying to find where all of these pieces ended up. And this is not just Missouri either. It's also fascinating to see where everything in the movie ended up. If I've got connections all over, and there's pieces overseas in Sweden and UK, and it's crazy that this little movie has really become a holiday staple. And it's very magical and special to own a large chunk of it.
Yeah, I'd rather it be with all the other stuff again, like it was meant to be. So I'm glad that somebody got it that will appreciate it.
This toaster, it looks like a toaster, but it's just a squishy foam. So if somebody were to fall or this were to get knocked over, it's not going to break. I've got two of my favorite costumes next to you. They're actually full, but it's hard to show full, of course. The ultimate goal here is to do a public display in Oklahoma next year because I think everybody deserves to see the craftsmanship of this movie, and especially for next year being the 25th anniversary since the movie came out. It feels like it feels like the right time to do a display. Word of mouth from person to person has been great. Another way that I've been able to also retrieve such a collection is having personal contact with cast and production members. They've been able to pass items on to me that were just sitting in their garage. They're like, "Oh, I was a part of that movie 24 years ago. It was cool, but here, you want this? Take it." And I'm like, "Please, I'll take it." And so that is another way that I've accumulated a few pieces, was just from cast and production members too. I mean, I've always had I'd say a decent collection, but it has really spiraled in the last year, and I hope I continue to spiral out of control next year. How big the ornaments are. I think that it's very important to preserve the movie history and trying to keep it together. There's just so many cool stories that I've heard from the making of the movie, and I think the more stories I hear, the more I feel connected to the movie and attached. And as time goes, it is becoming more difficult to learn about the making of the movie. So if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be me, and it's going to be now before it's too late. Like I feel like I have this responsibility to try to gather as much information as possible, and then I got to figure out what do I do with the information. I'm hoping that I could pass it on to the next person, or pass it on to something even bigger than I.